everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Yo!
Oh my God, Drew, you make me smile every single. Don't stop.
Confining me. Wait.
Don't stop, Jim. What is this? Those are his dance moves.
I couldn't do my move because my jacket was confining me.
Oh, yeah, we'll take
But now
it off. We're among friends. We're casual here on Sunrise Extra.
Yeah. This is the man that Mia fell in love with.
No, it's not. Who is the man I fell in love with? Where did he go?
We're all kind of in love with Drew Carney. You are a bright spot every single morning. I feel like it's only Tuesday and it's been the longest week ever. I'm not certain how that happened, but put that aside and move on. You know, we spoke during the Sunrise newscast about the independent theaters and, you know, what a tough time they're having, struggling because of COVID. They're trying to get the governor's office to let them open in phase 1 right now instead of phase 2. But that got us thinking about all the cool little neighborhood independent places that do business and make wherever you live special. So you'll have to like weigh in and post and let us know what you love about your neighborhood and some fun spots to check out. Safely, of course.
Right. We were inspired by the movie theaters because those are a great example of what you're talking about, Brenda, right? So many of those independent theaters in Portland and the metro area really define the neighborhoods where we find them. The great example is the Hollywood Theater. I mean, the neighborhood was literally named after the theater. And we have actually a whole lot on theaters. Again, theaters are just the launching pad here. And we're going to run a report from Andrew Dorn, one of our Sunrise producers, about this very topic. As we play this report for you, and again, this is specifically about independent theaters that define their neighborhoods. We want to hear from you this morning. What mom and pop shop, whether it's like a local pizza shop, whether it's a clothing retailer, whatever that business may be, if it defines where you live, we want to know about it right now, today on Sunrise Extra.
For over 100 years, Portlanders have flocked to the silver screen. By 1916, the city had earned a reputation for its excellent theaters. One industry journal saying, "Ours were as fine as any on the Pacific Coast." Portland's theaters became neighborhood landmarks, sources of pride, and in some cases, the namesake of a neighborhood itself.
The Hollywood neighborhood was named after the theater, so it's definitely very rooted in the city and in this neighborhood.
Doug White is the executive director of the Hollywood Theater in Northeast Portland. He thinks independent theaters are part of what makes neighborhoods and the local movie culture so unique.
Almost every neighborhood has a theater that you can walk to that is independently run and owned. I don't see it as competition. I just see it as building a culture of people not going to a chain, but going to their local independent theater, and that's just sort of what Portlanders do.
But metro area movie theaters have been closed since mid-March due to coronavirus. And unlike restaurants and bars, which were allowed to reopen in phase 1, movie theaters are classified as venues by the state and have to wait until phase 2. It's a classification some local theater operators disagree with.
When we look at the rules and regulations that they created, the guidelines for phase 1, it all of a sudden occurred to us that, hey, we could operate under this.
Tom Ranieri runs Cinema 21 in Northwest Portland. In August, he and about a dozen independent theaters wrote a letter to the governor asking to include cinemas in phase 1 of reopening. Ranieri says he can do it safely.
If I've got 25 or even 50 people in here, which is less than 10% of my capacity, I mean, it could be 30 feet between you and somebody else.
But nearly 2 months after sending that letter, the guidelines remain the same. For independent theaters like Ranieri's, it's a decision that could mean the difference between reopening someday or closing for good.
And if we could open under phase 1, we have a chance. But so far, it's just been, yes, well, you're in phase 2. We'll let you know when you can go.
It's hard to know what coronavirus means for Portland's independent theaters. Will it be a brief intermission or the closing credits? Doug White is optimistic.
I think when this is all over, people are going to come out even more than they did before because they will be so tired of sitting on their couch and streaming movies. The idea of being able to sit safely in a theater with other people and watch something on film and talk about it afterwards and having a beer and a slice of pizza, is people are, I think, pining for that.
Andrew Dorn, KGW News.
I sure wish him well, because he's right. I think people are getting antsy and they'd like to be able to go out somewhere safely.
Yeah.
I just personally don't think I'm ready quite yet. The whole indoor thing, I haven't really done.
I just want to give a quick shout out to independent theater owners. I know I've done a story with the Liberty Theater up in Camas, and I think this is pretty much true. These are small businessmen. They're not in their industry to get rich. They don't get rich owning small independent movie theaters. They do it because they have a passion for movies and they love it. And it certainly, represents small business people that we're all pulling for, right?
I know you remember early on during the pandemic, some of those theaters, literally, they were like bringing popcorn out to cars driving by. They were trying to think of anything to get some revenue coming in.
That's basically been the story for all these local businesses, right? Like, what can we do right now? What can we do to stay afloat? We ran that story yesterday about that restaurant in Budapest, of all places.
Budapest.
Sorry, you're right. You say it better than I. Wasn't that where it was located?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They put together, it's a restaurant, and they put together dining service now on a Ferris wheel.
It was crazy.
And it's an opportunity. Obviously, if you're sitting in a Ferris wheel cart with, say, another family member or a couple of family members, you are socially distant from the other people that may be above or below you. So, and it's really been a hit there. And even the fact that it costs $154 a person
for a 4-course meal.
For a 4-course meal has not stopped people from getting on board that Ferris wheel dining opportunity. But again, I'm getting off track.
No, but it was kind of weird because I have a thing about Ferris wheels. They just don't ever feel really safe to me. You're up there in this little basket swinging around, but that was completely enclosed.
That's because you could fall out, Brenda Braxton.
Well, that's what I used to think as a little girl.
But I do remember one time when I was like 6 years old, maybe, at the Great Adventure, the Six Flags. They call it Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. Not Magic Mountain in New Jersey. It's Great Adventure. Anyways, we were on that big Ferris wheel, and I was probably 6 when I stood up from our Ferris wheel experience, and it was just 2 little swinging doors that were keeping you inside that car. And I guess I stood up and threw one of those doors open and kind of looked down below, and my mom was like, ah! Like grabbing me from behind. Now, I don't think I was close to falling out. I don't think I was even, remotely thinking about it, but I was close enough to the edge to put my mom in some serious, I guess, sweaty moments.
Yeah, no doubt. With you, probably your whole childhood, you gave her sweaty moments.
Well,
but you know what?
We're not supposed to be talking about sweaty moments
today. No, don't go there.
Yeah.
I remember one time, and this was in California, so I had to be like under 8. I remember probably being about 6 or 5. And it was so long ago, like somehow at this amusement park, they let my dad ride with me, but I wasn't next to him. I was literally sitting on his lap on a little roller coaster, and he was hanging on to me, and I probably wasn't gonna fly out, but that's the way it felt. I was like, oh!
I still, at 46, if I get on a roller coaster and it's one that's going to go upside down, so they put the bars over you, I'm hitting those things like 22 times before it takes off. Is this thing working? Is this thing locked in?
How did we get into a scary amusement park moment?
Well, because we digress. We're all, without Nina here, we just go right off the rails almost immediately.
We are without the engineer keeping the train on the tracks.
Jennifer Taft is weighing in. Hello, girl. It's always good to hear from you. She says, I'm with Brenda. Indoors, not a choice for us autoimmune people. Sigh. Yeah, there are a lot of people who, and I live with my daughter, has some health issues, and we've been, super careful to try and protect her. So it has been weird. We haven't really seen our extended family for quite some time.
Aaron Ross chimes in this morning, and this is exactly what we were hoping to see, and you can chime in as well. We're inspired by independent theaters that are really struggling right now in the metro area. They're not allowed to reopen because they're stuck in phase 1, and phase 1 guidelines say theaters cannot reopen. So that's talking Multnomah County, Clackamas County, Washington County. We want to know about neighborhood businesses, staples in your community that really define where you live. And Aaron Ross says 503 Uncorked in Sherwood is an example of this. It's a women-owned business.
Nice.
She says the city council is having a work session to determine if they will keep the road closed so that they can stay open through the winter. We are hoping they will keep the whole alfresco dining thing alive.
I love that. And then Linda Hamilton says, Mi Pueblo is our favorite Mexican restaurant in Milwaukee. I like that. And then Stanford Walker, good morning to you. He said drive-in movies should be booming. Also drive-in restaurants like car hops.
Well, drive-in theaters have been booming. In fact, there's a lot of places around town that have created the drive-in movie experience. One would be the Expo Center out there in North Portland. They created a drive-in movie theater experience in the parking lot there. I don't know what they call it down there in the South Waterfront. It's something yards, but it's basically where Cirque du Soleil has set up its tents in the past there along the south waterfront. They also, during the summer, now it may have stopped now that we're in late-ish October, but I know that they had throughout the summer months and into September a drive-in movie theater down there. What the heck is that place called? Zidell Yards.
Oh, there you go.
Zidell Yards,
right.
and along the south waterfront. The Oregon Garden, I want to say, up in Silverton, also had a drive-in movie experience that people could check out over the summer months. So yes, Stanford Walker, you're right. Drive-in movie theaters should be booming right now, and some have been.
And Andrea Enriquez says, Mr. Video in Kaiser, last independently owned rental video store in the area.
Wow.
It's one of her favorites.
Oh yeah, Katie Abigail Bassett. That's a good reminder about the Oaks Park drive-in movie theater experience. Yeah. I forgot about that. Oaks Park Skating Club, Katie tells us, has been doing the drive-in theater hosted by the Rose City Rollers. They're the roller derby women.
Love that.
They've been hosting the outdoor skate sessions. Are a lot of fun during the nice weather as well. It's so much fun. Yes, Oaks Park has that drive-in movie theater experience right now too.
Rod, do you remember being a kid and watching roller derby? Did your family do that? Because I loved watching that with my dad.
It was on, I don't know, was it Saturday late afternoons, I think. But no, it was one of those things that not every week, but we would watch it and then they come around and they pull them and they fling them around. And yeah, it was pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, it was. Those women are fierce. I love the Rose City Rollers.
I feel like I can normally keep up with you two in terms of whatever the topic may be. But that's the one thing, you just touched on something that I cannot relate to. I do not remember roller derby on TV at all. I feel like
You're too young.
I know, but normally I can get into the 70s with you.
Okay.
And I have a good, even though I was only around the 70s for a few years, 6 to be exact, I still remember some of that decade.
Wow, you missed part of the 70s. That's a shame.
But I don't remember roller derby.
Isn't that funny? I remember watching with my dad the roller derby, wrestling, and Star Trek, the original one.
Yeah. There you go.
My little
All
6-year-old
70s
heart
favorites.
loved Captain Kirk.
Wow. Hey, I want to give a shout out to dry cleaners. You know, one of my favorite local businesses where I go, it's called Miracle Cleaners, but super nice people that run it. And I was talking to Sean, who owns it with his family, and I hadn't really thought about it. But, you know, all those times I was working from home, I wasn't wearing suits. So they totally lost my dry cleaning business because I didn't have any. Well, their business is still well down because, you know, the amount of people putting on a suit and a tie and going to a downtown, you know, office, that number just isn't what it used to be. So that's one of those businesses that I hadn't really thought about that has been impacted heavily by COVID.
Do you remember when you would show up to work and we only saw the top half of you and you were wearing pajama bottoms?
When you were working from home?
Did you see my pajama bottoms?
Yeah, you stood up one day.
Oh, that's right. I had those nice kind of heavy flannel ones. Yeah, the plaid. That was comfy. I always just wore house slippers. I never did a show with socks and shoes on.
Truth be told, I'm in my Nike flip-flops right now. COVID has ruined
No, I'm full.
me.
I can't get my shoe up. Can I get my shoe? There it is. See, I'm in.
No.
I'm in regular dress shoes today.
You're gonna pull something.
As long as nobody sees like the full shot and my feet, I'm not putting those stilettos back on. I am boycotting.
Well, yeah,
I can actually see I can see way across the room that Brenda is in fact wearing the flip-flops. Rod, you mentioned the dry cleaners though.
Yeah.
Mine would be Cascade Summit Dry Cleaning in West Lynn. Same exact story. And they've told the same tale to me about how business way down.
Yeah.
It's getting a little better now, but it was, you know, super slow, super slow, March, April, May, June. And the funny thing about that place is the owners, you actually worked with one of the owners, Rod. Steve Arena.
Steve over at K2.
Yeah, former
really?
K2 sports anchor. Steve Arena got out of the TV business. Before he got out, he started buying some of these dry cleaning operations, and that's his income now, dry cleaning.
Steve Arena.
Yeah.
It's a great
love
sports
that.
name, isn't it? Steve Arena.
Yeah, it is. It's totally perfect. Jennifer Taft says again, Crystal Ballroom Music Venues, save them. And I saw another one. Renee Robertson, good morning to you, says Mingo. That's like one of her favorites. Mingo in Beaverton is wonderful. Melissa
Mingo,
Getman says Canby 8 Cinemas has drive-in movie theater. That's good. You know what I love? We used to live over in Southeast, and I love that little Westmoreland area.
Yeah.
One of my favorite jewelry stores with just an amazing owner. Her name is Anne, and I cannot think of her last name, but it's a little boutique called Fuchsia. It has some local artists, and then they bring them in from different places. But ladies, gentlemen, if you're looking for good gifts, that is one of my favorite places in Portland, is Fuchsia.
Okay. It's good to know.
I'm trying to figure this out, Melissa Getman. Melissa Getman, who you just mentioned a moment ago, talking about the Canby 8 Theater, who has a drive-in movie theater now. She says also, this sounds like a great deal. I just need more details, a little clarification. She says the Canby 8 Theater also has a movie combo where you buy a movie. It's a random movie with popcorn, candy, and soda pop. It's $20 for the whole package. Then you can go back home and have a movie night.
Oh.
That's kind of fun.
But I don't know, $20 doesn't sound like that great of a deal. I guess it's there to support the local theater. I was thinking about my own bottom line there.
Are you
selfishly.
kidding? If you go to a theater, you pay $20 just for the concessions at least per person.
But this is talking about getting buying a movie to take home with you.
You have to
With
take the movie
popcorn,
back.
candy,
you
and
say.
pop?
Which I can get in my living room right now for $4.99.
Well, you don't get candy, pop, and
Well,
whatever.
that's bad for your teeth, Brenda.
I made
I like the
popcorn.
pop-
Since when have you cared about that?
I don't drink pop, and I don't really eat candy. I do like the popcorn.
I had pop and popcorn yesterday.
What are you drinking over there right now? That's not pop? What is that?
It's a polar seltzer, 100% natural, calorie-free, raspberry lime.
I
to be
thought the
exact.
carbonation was bad for your bones. Isn't that true?
No, that is not
Are you
true.
serious? They say that now? For crying
That
out
is-
loud.
You're going to make me Google
It's
it.
amazing I didn't die 17 years ago.
You don't have to Google. We're on Sunrise Extra, Brenda. The viewers will give us the answer to that question. Can anyone tell us if drinking sparkling water is bad for your bones?
No. I said carbonation. There is
Carbonation.
something to
Well,
that. Let me set the record
that's what
straight.
sparkling
You
water
talk
is.
amongst yourselves. I'm going to Google.
All right.
All right, do we have any more comments, Drew, coming in? Well,
I just lost the whole stream in
Did
my
you?
phone, to be honest with you.
Oh, boy.
You know, Brent, it's probably not best in this three-man setup to go on your own and go do a research project.
I am going rogue.
Okay, James Brown.
Yes.
Not that James Brown. Our local James Brown says, I watched roller derby and wrestling as well when I was a kid in the 1970s. James Brown then chimes in with Sandy Boulevard Drive-In in Park Rose, where the 205 is today. He's talking about an old theater. The Sandy Boulevard Drive-In in Park Rose, Mall 205 took over that spot now. Melissa Getman says, that's true, Drew, LOL, but popcorn is worth it. Talking about that $20 deal from Canby. It's not a great deal necessarily, but it does support that Canby 8 Theater where they supply you with the movie to take home and the popcorn and the pop.
All right, stand
go ahead.
down.
Stand
I've got
down.
the answer.
Got the answer.
Stand down, Brenda Braxton. It says concerns have been raised
Concerns.
that carbonated soft drinks, notably colas, may adversely affect bone health. However, there's no convincing evidence that that is true.
So people are
So
concerned.
let's not put it out there.
I had heard it. I had to set myself straight.
They call that something. I think it's fake something.
Disinformation?
Fake something or another.
The
Fake
things that you hear.
news.
But look, I got back to it, right?
Yeah, thank you, Brenda.
Yes, no, thank you for clarifying. There wasn't a moment in time where I was worried about this.
I know.
Sparkling
Never mind.
water.
I was
Go ahead.
excited I was going to make millions
Continue.
from the Pepsi-Cola company, and now I'm not. That lawsuit gone. Okay, go ahead.
Virginia Carlson, the artist formerly known as Ginny Carlson, chiming in again this morning on the stream saying arcades will not recover. She said it's so sad for the kids. You're right. Those arcades that were still out there, and there are a few. There was one in Milwaukee that my kids I know used to go to a few years ago when they were a little younger. There were a few arcades still out there. They can't open right now during these social distancing times, and those places were already this close to the edge of extinction, right? So I think you're absolutely right, Virginia Carlson, when it comes to those few arcades that are still left in the area.
Did we ever get to the bottom of why we're so formal now with Ginny? Why she chose to go with Virginia? It's lovely.
No,
It is
Just
lovely.
curious.
Virginia, did you launch an entirely new Facebook page? I assume that's part of it because her name just pops up now as Virginia. So maybe she got rid of her old page and started anew.
Could be.
Rod James Brown is watching us. Also said, I watched roller derby wrestling as a 70s kid.
Roller derby.
Brenda, I read that one when you were doing your Google research
Oh,
project.
sorry.
It's okay.
I wasn't listening to you at all, clearly. Let's see.
James, tell us
Did you
what
read
else you watched.
Katie Abigail Bassett? Did you do that one too?
Her first comment, yes. This most recent comment, we did not.
I do park roller skating, bowls and ramps. and street skating. I get asked all the time if I play derby because I wear intense safety gear. Falling when you're doing tricks in the park or off a curb warrants safety gear.
Wow.
You know, one of our former producers here, her name is Samia, back in the day, we rented some inline skates. And I grew up, you know, with the 4 little wheels, not the inline skates. And we were, you know, roller skating along the waterfront here in Portland. And somehow right near that riverfront hotel,
yes,
I got going too fast.
Oh, no.
Literally down this hill. And I didn't know what to do. And at that time, some of the trees were just planted there, so they were little. And before I hit the seawall, I reached over and I grabbed a hold of this tree, and it whipped me around and put me right on my arse.
But
I didn't go over into the water.
If it wasn't for the tree, though, that would have been like a face down, right? I mean, you would have been going face first, probably.
It could have been.
Who were you inline skating with?
Sam Dilsey. You remember Sam?
When you said Sam, I thought you meant Sam Saldivar, a more recent Sunrise producer.
Different Samia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious. It's not polite to ask someone's age, but Katie Abigail Bassett, I am curious about your age because the whole roller skating with all the gear on and then the street skating, that sounds like a very dangerous activity. I feel like if you're older than, say, 7, when you're that close to the ground, I think it's safe. But anything bigger than 7, you should not be doing all that skating business. Too dangerous.
Come on now. Come on now. Ooh, Addison Nett says, so lucky I play golf. What to do when the rain starts again?
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to play golf. So can you just not do it in the rain?
Oh, no.
Why can't
you can do
golf
it.
in the rain?
The guys that I play with, they literally play pretty much every weekend all year long.
See?
I mean, the courses here
Can you pick up Addison in your group?
They will play with anybody. Yeah, come on over.
You know, we set out this morning on a mission to perhaps put together a long list of neighborhood spots that people love and that really define their neighborhood. We never really came up with that list. Instead, we talked about wrestling, roller derby, inline skating. We talked about popcorn and pop and seltzer water, carbonation, the effects thereof.
We have failed.
Old TV shows. We covered a lot this morning on Sunrise Extra, and you still watching right now, you hung in there with us. And for that, we are happy.
We wish
Katie,
we had a prize for you.
Love you, girl. She said, I started skating for fun when I was 31, and it definitely hurts when you fall.
Wow, we have a lot of skaters out there. That's crazy,
we do.
huh?
I like it.
That's the same
Bravo.
skater.
Yeah.
Right, that's the same woman that we talked about earlier.
Oh, the same one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's all right. Let him be in his own little
Well, it
bubble.
seems like we have a lot of skaters.
Who among us is really paying attention to what's happening on the stream this morning?
0.
Well, thank you for watching us despite our inadequacies this morning. We're back tomorrow with another fantastic edition of Sunrise Extra.